Hi everyone and welcome back to Fully Playable Games. So on today's video we are going to be doing another rankings video, and yeah, for this video we are going to be covering off the last console manufacturer that we've yet to run through, and that is going to be the Microsoft consoles. So yeah, this is actually going to be the smallest out of the ranking videos because there's only 10 consoles that we are going to be able to review today. And what I am including is all of the variations of the different Xboxes that have been brought out. And yeah, so what we'll do is let's switch over to the other screen and we will dive straight in. So as you can see here, we've got all 10 consoles down the bottom here, going from the original Xbox all the way through to the Series X. And yeah, you'll see we're covering the 3 versions of the Xbox 360, the 4 versions of the Xbox One, and then the 2 series consoles as well. And diving straight in, we are going to jump in with the original Xbox, the OG, the console that I waited a year for and then didn't like it when it come out. So yeah, this is actually quite a big story for me because originally when the Xbox was announced, I was waiting for it to come out, and then before it come out, the PS2 was released. It was selling really well, and yeah, I saw the console just before it come out, and I was like, I don't like it. And then I ended up actually going for a PS2. So I could have been an Xbox fanboy had the original Xbox looked a bit different. But yeah, I will admit I do have it now. I do absolutely love my original Xbox console. So the actual console itself sold 24 million units. And I think that is the lowest actually out of all of the Xbox all the Xbox consoles. Currently worldwide there is 989 games on the console. I will admit that did surprise me. I thought it was going to be a bit more than that. But yeah, no, 989. Obviously, that is worldwide, so that's not by region or anything like that. I will admit, the Xbox side of things is something I do want to put a bit more time into researching to actually find out how many games are on each console. Because obviously, we've got an extensive Xbox and Xbox 360 collection. So yeah, I'd like to know where I am in the scheme of potentially having sort of a nearly full set. I know I'm nowhere near on either of them, but it would be nice to know. But I will admit, the original Xbox, it was an absolute game changer when it comes to the console industry. It was the first console that had a built-in hard drive, the first console that had a built-in broadband adapter. Yeah, I was correct there. And yeah, it just leaps and bounds sort of from what other things were doing. Obviously, from the release of the Xbox, then Sony had to basically change tack. They then released the network adapter for the PS2, which then allowed you to add in hard drive and network functionality, but it wasn't actually built into the original PS2. And even the PS2 Slim, you didn't then have the option for a hard drive, but you did have the built-in broadband adapter. Yeah, I think the console itself deserves to be highly respected, highly rated. The only reason... Right, I'll tell you what, I'm going to give you my results first. So, for the original Xbox, I'm giving it an A ranking. And the reason that I'm not putting it in an S is for one reason and one reason only. And that is the capacitors. So, obviously, nowadays, a majority of original Xboxes are getting to the point where they're non-functional. The capacitors have all leaked and everything like that. I think out of all of my Xboxes that I've got, all of the capacitors have gone. Some of them are still playing, some of them won't play. So, yeah, I think from my perspective, that is the only reason why this isn't an S console, is because just the fact that the components that the console was built with just haven't lasted. which is a real shame. But as I say, it's not a massive fix. It's just a bit annoying the fact that if you've got a pristine Xbox, literally not a scratch on it, it's never even been taken out of the box, and you've got the potential that you've then got to break the warranty seal to replace or remove that capacitor. Yeah, it is a bit annoying. So yeah, that is why I'm giving the original Xbox a ranking. Then moving on, we are moving on to the original or fat version Xbox 360. Now, I will admit, until I started the channel and started going out to the boot fairs and everything like that, I never had one of these. My first foray into the Xbox 360 was the Slim, so I did avoid all of the issues with this console. And there were many. So, obviously, we've got the main one, which was obviously the Red Ring of Death, which was very similar to I believe it was similar to the PS3, sorry, where it was basically bad solder on the GPU. Since then, we have also found out that the PS3 is also a capacitor issue as well as a GPU issue. But I think with the Xbox, it was just a sort of a GPU issue. And yeah, for me, obviously, that was a big letdown. But also, there was another recurring issue that happened with and I think this was, once again, this was only an original Xbox 360 problem. So if you were playing the console and the console accidentally got sort of jogged or knocked or anything like that, it would actually carve a groove into your disc, basically rendering the disc completely dead. There was no way to recover it. This was a sort of like 0.5 mil groove, like deep into the disc, and yeah, it was just not. It was, for me, it just wasn't well engineered. There was just too many problems with it, and yeah, that obviously coupled with the Red Ring of Death and the groove issue. There's only one place I could put it. But before we get into the rankings, let's actually look into the console itself. So the Xbox 360 range as a whole, so that encompasses all three versions, sold 84 million. And there are around 1,200 physical games for the console. Now, this was one that was actually very difficult to nail down. There is just no physical lists of every Xbox 360 physical game. So, yeah, a lot of people are saying it's around the 1,200 mark, which actually for me isn't too bad, because I think we're closing in on 600. So I'm actually closing in on half of the Xbox 360 collection in my collection, which is really good. But for the original Xbox 360, because of the issues, I'm giving it a B rank. And yes, there's probably a load of you out there that are absolutely screaming and shouting at me. But bear with me, because we then move on to the Xbox 360 Slim. So this was the first Xbox 360 that I actually owned myself. I've still got it. It's up on the shelf there in its original box. And yeah, absolutely over the moon with it. I loved it when I got it. I will admit, it didn't replace my PS3, but it's still become a staple within my game collection. And this was I bought this, I think I bought my 360 probably about a year before the Xbox One came out. So I was really late to the game with the Xbox 360. But I will admit, I've had absolutely no problems with my original Xbox 360 Slim. And yeah, love having it in the collection. And I think with the Slim, Microsoft actually listened to the community. So all of the issues that they had with the original Xbox, they went back and essentially solved them for the Slim. And I think because of that then puts the Xbox 360 in its rightful place on this rank. And that is an S tier. 100% all day long, an S tier. With the games library, the actual console itself, even the controller. So, like, I've got a aftermarket controller that I use if I'm playing games on my PC. It's an aftermarket 360 controller. I love playing with this. I find it really comfortable to play with. And yeah, I just absolutely love the fact I've got the Xbox 360 in the collection. And yeah, for me, the Slim was absolutely brilliant. And then to wrap up the Xbox 360 set, we are going to move on to the Xbox 360e. So this was a console that was released very, very late in the Xbox life cycle. And it was, as far as I'm aware, there was no major updates to the hardware side of things. It was just a sort of repackaged Slim. And yeah, it's okay. I've got a couple in the collection. I think I've got a black one, and then I've got a boxed blue one as well. I'll be honest, I've never actually played any games on any of the ones that I've got because, as I say, I've had my Slim, and that has always been my sort of go-to console. So for me, because the 360e, I don't really see the necessity of it, but equally, it doesn't deserve to be ranked as bad as the original. I'm going to give it an A. I think that's a nice compromise with this one because, as I say, I just never saw the need for it. And I think a lot of people were in the same boat because the E is one that you don't see as often. So, yeah, there's that. Next up, we're moving on to the Xbox One. And, yeah, so this is a bit of an interesting one. Just going to quickly make an adjustment because I'm going to change around. So I've got my notes off to the side here, but I think I'm going to change around my rankings for the Xbox One. So going on the original Xbox. So the console itself sold 58 million units across all of its variations. There are approximately 1,123 physical games on the console. And yeah, I have to admit, I loved my Xbox One. Once again, I've got my original Xbox One is in its box on top of the shelf. And yeah, I've never had any problems with it. Absolutely love playing it. I think the only letdown with the original Xbox One was the absolute disaster, and I don't think you can use any other word than that. The actual absolute disastrous launch of the original Xbox One, where when they originally announced it, I think it was at their E3 event, and they just seem to be talking more about the media capability of the console. Then they went on to say that you had to have Kinect always connected. Then they went on to say that you wouldn't be able to share games and that you always had to be online. And then, to top it off, the absolute cherry on the cake was to then turn around to the community and say that if you don't have a reliable connection, or that you can't always be online, we offer a product just for you. It's called Xbox 360. And I was floored with that. It wasn't Phil Spencer. Was it Phil Spencer that said that? I can't remember who said it. But I'm surprised he didn't just go round to every Xbox fan and just spit in their face. Because that is really what it felt like. And I think because of that, the Xbox One was doomed to failure forevermore. And then I will admit, I did absolutely love. So when the Xbox One was originally announced, it was at their E3 event, and you had Microsoft's event, and then about 2 hours later, you then had the PlayStation event. And just before that PlayStation event come out, I can't remember who the guys were that were in it. They actually put out a video of how to loan games on PlayStation, and you literally just see them sort of like step one, holding the game. Step 2, handing the game off. And then that's it. And it was such a jab. And you could tell they literally filmed it in the back of the arena that they were doing their presentation in. And they'd seen Microsoft's and they just literally trolled them something rotten. And I was rolling around with laughter when I saw that. And what I'll do is, if I can find it, I'll put it in here. But yeah, I think with the original Xbox, I think because of the way that they just completely mishandled the launch of it, I'm going to put it as an A. Just because I think it could, if they had really focused down on the gaming side of it, what everyone watching that presentation wanted to see, then I think the Xbox One would have absolutely smashed the market. But I think because of the way that they completely mismanaged that announcement, and then it was literally the months after, it was just them backpedaling on everything. Yeah, I'm going to give it an A. Then moving on, we have got the Xbox One S Digital Edition. And I'm not going to sugarcoat this. I am not going to muck about. C, straight off the bat. No, digital only consoles I am not interested in. You do not get a high rating from me. You are immediately a C. Yeah, as I say, I have in all of my videos that I talk about it. I'm more actually, especially with the week in gaming videos that I'm putting out every week now. We've been having a lot of conversations on them videos about the digital gaming and sort of where things are going. I am adamantly opposed to digital gaming. Always have been, always will be. And yeah, any consoles that are brought out as digital only, they're bottom of the pile for me. I've not even really got an interest in adding them to the collection unless I get hold of them cheap. So we have got one digital console in the collection, which we'll go to in a little while. And then we move on to the proper Xbox One S, which is the disc version. And for me, this console was absolutely superb. I really loved it. And for that, it is going to get the S ranking that the original Xbox One should have got. Had they handled the launch properly, the original Xbox One would have been an S for me. And actually, in my notes beforehand, I did actually have these round the other way. So I had the original Xbox One as an S and the One S as a A. But yeah, definitely think the One S disc version does trump it because yeah, I just think it just does what it needs to do. Do you know what I mean? There was no no sort of fluff with it or anything like that. It was a games console. It was marketed as a game console. And yeah, all of this gumph about making it a streaming box or to replace your Skybox and all of this just disappears. And yeah, that is why, for me, that is going to get an S rank. And then the last one of the Xbox One consoles was the Xbox One X, sorry. And I have to admit, obviously, we do now have one in the collection, but I've never played it. Anytime I think by the time I'd got my One X, I already had the Series X. So yeah, it's just I've never used it. And because of that, I don't feel that I can give it the sort of the best opinion with regards to sort of ranking it against the other consoles. So I am going to give it an A rank, but yeah, whether it's an S, I don't know. Just because I haven't used it, and I think it would be unfair to give it an S, and yeah, it isn't really. And then we move on to the Xbox Series consoles. So we're going to start off with the Xbox Series S. And this is actually the only digital console that I do have in the collection. And the only reason I've got it is because someone I used to work with actually was getting rid of it. And he was basically giving it away for an absolutely amazing price that I just couldn't say no. So yeah, it is complete in its original box. It's up there on my shelf, and I think all I've done is literally plugged it in to make sure it works. Other than that, I've never played it. I've got no interest in playing it. And yeah, it is obviously, with it being a digital console, it gets a C straight off the bat. Not interested. But we are going to wrap it up with the Xbox Series X. And what I have done, obviously, because these are the current consoles, the figures that I've got are sort of approximates at the moment. So between the Xbox Series S and X, we've got approximately 28 million units sold. And there is currently approximately 680 physical games on the console. Now, I think I'm probably at around the sort of 150, 160 mark with regards to... No, yeah, probably about 150, 160 mark for Xbox One games. So yeah, nowhere near that mark, but obviously there's still games being released every day for it. For me, obviously, this is now my sort of staple current gen Xbox. My Xbox One was put back in its original box, and as I say, the other variations I don't really use, because obviously I can play everything on my Series X. I think the only time I will admit I have got it out, I have got my original Xbox One out recently, because I've actually had to I've got it out to film an upcoming not cancelled worst games ever video. So yeah, that is the only time that I've actually got my Xbox One out since getting my Series X. And yeah, for me, do you know what? I like my Series X. I bought my PS5 first, and then probably about a year later is when I picked up the Series X. I think the trouble that I had, the problem that I had with the current generation, and it goes for both the PS5 and the Series X, was I just didn't feel that they had a strong launch lineup. When they were both released, I was really struggling to see games that I actually wanted to play. And yeah, obviously even with the PS5, I think it was about 4 or 5 months after the console released that I actually picked it up. And once again, with the Series X, it was very much like that for me as well. I didn't want to just buy the new console and then play the previous gen games on it, even though that's pretty much what I do now anyway. But I think with the PS5, for example, I do have a sort of sizable collection now of PS5 games, whereas with the Xbox Series games, I think I've only got about 2 or 3. Other than that, my whole... And even them, they are mixed in with my Xbox One games, because I don't really see them as sort of separate to the Xbox One. So for me, as I say, I do like the console, and I do think it's a really good console. It isn't an S rank. For me, I'm going to give the Series X an A rank, just because majority of the play that I do on this console is Xbox One games. For me, it just hasn't established itself with its own range of games and everything like that. And yeah, that is, I'm quite happy with sort of putting it there, just because I just don't, as I say, I don't feel that it's established itself. And that is it. That is all of the Xbox consoles. So yeah, we've got 2 S ranks, 5 A ranks, 1 B rank, and 2 C's, which definitely deserve to be there. I should have actually left the D rank in, and just put those in D for digital. That would have been my excuse. But let me know in the comments down below, sort of like, what do you think of the Xbox range? How would you rate them compared to sort of what I've done? Are there any that you'd put higher, any that you put lower? Let me know. And yeah, I always love seeing what your opinions are on sort of the list that I've put together. And as I say, this rank is purely sort of my personal opinions on the Xbox range. And I'll be honest, this was actually quite a difficult one for me to rank, because if I sort of look at sort of what I play, I would say 60 to 70% of my gameplay is actually on PlayStation consoles. Xbox, the only time it tends to actually come out is if I'm capturing gameplay at the moment. There isn't that one title on there that I'm sort of desperate to play. There are a couple of games that I've got on there that I'd like to play through, but nothing's like no, I've really got to play it. Or if I'm buying a game that I'm like, oh, I'll buy it on the Xbox this time. Pretty much everything I buy goes on, is either sort of PS4, PS5, everything like that. Obviously, if I see games for the Xbox out and about, I do tend to pick them up. But yeah, very rarely, if there's a sort of cross-platform game, do I pick it up on the Xbox. I'll always pick it up on something else. But yeah, as I say, let me know down below, what do you think of the Xbox range? How would you rank them compared to what I've done? And yeah, with that said, before you head off, if you did enjoy the video, I'll get this in a minute. Before you head off, if you did enjoy the video, don't forget to hit that like button. And if you're not already, smash that subscribe button and ring the bell to be kept up to date when I upload new videos. And yeah, with that said, thank you so much for watching today. Really hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you on the next one. All right, bye.